Mute ourselves. He's over here complaining about me and all this stuff, and then there we go. He's over here saying, "Oh, he's so mean to me."
He's so mean to me.
Okay, so I think the big thing, obviously, first off, I will change the. We'll do that. We'll just do this one. It's TSM Doublelift. It works well here.
Do you want to restart over again since we're not talking?
Who cares? It's not a video. It don't matter that.
It will be a video. That's the thing.
Well, who cares? They'll see it in the first 3 seconds.
I'll just have to cut it out then.
You don't have to.
So people will understand. Click away after that.
People understand live streams. When it's live streams, people understand it to an extent. If you want to cut it, it's fine, but most people don't do that.
Hello, guys.
Don't do that every single time.
Are you sure we weren't talking?
Yes, I'm sure we weren't talking.
Good lord, this is why you gotta let
my mic was muted. If they heard us, then I'm a little scared of that.
This is why we gotta let me talk into the mic very, very slowly.
Yelling at the mic.
Good lord. Okay, so how was your day?
We don't have to have small talk. We've seen each other all day.
We literally saw each other guys like 30 minutes ago.
Constantly talking to each other. What's going on, Damien? I think the big thing, first of all, we want to talk about is, do you want to rank first? Do you want to talk about TSM Doublelift?
Oh, shoot. I guess the big thing here is people are coming here for TSM Doublelift.
Maybe. So I think the big thing about TSM Doublelift, first of all, I think the reason that Cloud9, there's about a few fundamental reasons as to why I think that TSM was struggling so much in the early, like part of the, not the early part, but the postseason. I think the big difference in the postseason, obviously, I think that in terms of early game aggression and what they were able to fundamentally work in the... I'm not talking to this man. This man is coming in here
saying Blabber's the best. This
nonsense.
Man yelled at me when I said Blabber could play against international junglers.
You making me sound like a psychopath who yells at people. No, I did not yell at you for saying
He yelled at me like Dardock did to Lorlo back in the day, just demoralizing me.
Dardock and Lorlo loved each other. Dardock did not yell at him once.
Oh, you didn't hear the horror stories. Holy crap.
What? Dardock loved Lorlo. They were like best friends.
Oh, man. I need to teach you the ways.
You don't need to teach me the ways. That didn't happen. Where did you see this happen at?
Oh my gosh.
I'd like to know.
Good lord. It's like when you're in a bad relationship and the guy just beats on you and you have to say, he'll do better. He'll treat me better next time. No, he won't. He'll just keep doing the same things.
That's not a good analogy. That's mean stuff to talk about. So I think the big thing, first of all, I think the big struggle that TSM had within the playoffs, how are you guys feeling about what specific, like in life?
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm at a low point right now. I've subjected myself to doing nothing.
So, like, his life consists of working with his dad and then talking to me.
That's my life right there. And that, like, as you can see just from looking at this guy, that is the lowest point you could ever get to.
Also, you guys notice that there's a lot more people coming into the channel, so I guess I'm doing something right, So that's a good thing. The goal for the channel this year, if it hits like 500 subscribers, that's fine because we're like sub 500. That means we're almost to 1,000. So I think
if nothing specifically. So are you like really excited about the channel or something?
No, yeah, it's been growing. There's been a few people coming every single day, so that's a good thing. I think. Like, when I first started doing this, I didn't know how to do league content, but then I watched a bunch of people, even the people that make, like, those weird, like, Red Mercy, even though he makes his channel, I was like, how does he get people? So I watched it, and I was like, I'm not really good like this, but I can take notes. So I took notes of, like, Night Blue, Solo Renekton.
This is why, those are not the people you take notes from.
No, I'm just taking, like,
the
notes.
Single worst people out of all there's Thorin, there's Monte Cristo, there's LS's thing. Too. All those people, and you're over here getting Night Blue's league Solo informational stuff. Night Blue's literally just posting half-naked anime girls. That is his lure in for people.
But yeah, guys, so let's officially start the show. Okay. Because on YouTube, when this is uploaded as a VOD, people are going to be like, oh my god, why did you just get into the show? Okay, so Doublelift is going to TSM, and last night, when I was on the podcast, I was talking about that this could be C9's rival. Sorry about that, because Doublelift has insane potential. Bjergsen is at least arguably top 3, top 4 mid laner, and some days he could be the best. Then you have Broken Blade, who's a top 3 top laner. Dardock is just there, I guess. And then you have Biofrost, who's at least top 3 support. So they have a really strong team, and this could be Cloud9's rival for Summer Split if it all comes together.
Okay, so the big thing I think obviously is, this channel can go big in the future.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, dude. Yeah, I know. It's like, when I first started, I didn't know what I was doing. This is the new channels, the new subject to talk about. People got really anal about me talking bad about TSM. It's like...
I still talk bad about TSM.
You could... Oh, my God. I legitimately had to hide those people when I first started. It was unbearable. They're like, why did you take a image from TSM subreddit? Okay, first of all, I'm not part of TSM subreddit.
So the way it works is you can't steal images offline.
I did not, though.
You took them off the Google
No, it was one word, Biofrost. They photoshopped Biofrost's face onto someone, and they photoshopped Kabe's face onto someone. I was like, I did not use that one. I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. And they are mad because they thought I said that Bjergsen was going to 100 Thieves, so I did not. I said Bjergsen should go to another org to try out something different because he's been on the same org for like, how long has he been there? He's been there since 2014.
Who cares if he's been on this? I mean, I wouldn't move if I'm getting the amount of bank and all that stuff. He has a good reason to stay there.
There's a lot of people have said that they don't even pay top dollar anymore. I mean, it's just that the grass might be greener on the other side. You never really know. Like,
why would he spend? He's part owner of TSM.
Well, now he's part of it, but
extremely established. Mm-hmm. He's all these things. I mean, there's no reason for him to swap off with TSM.
Now, but before that, he wasn't. So I mean,
even then, he still had an extremely established. He was in the biggest name in NA. Mm-hmm. He was the biggest name on the team.
People would pay top dollar to have him on their team.
It doesn't matter. It's
even when he's like fourth best mid.
I think TSM need a new coach. Everybody thinks that besides TSM, apparently. TSM, there's no. What you can argue? What
can he do if Parth is telling him stuff too? Remember, Parth is their general manager. So what if Parth is telling him? What if Parth and Zhang are combining to do all these things?
Zane should never have came because he wasn't.
He was a bad coach on TL too.
Zane should have never have came. Parth should never have existed in TSM. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they brought him in the first place. Like, the reality is that the struggles that TSM have, again, the reason that I'm going to go back, kind of link this back to Doublelift. The reason that I think that Parth is such, I mean, that the big struggles that TSM have, first of all, aren't even usually drafting fundamental problems. Like, the drafts are terrible in my opinion. MSI is 100% canceled, yes.
Yeah, it's canceled, Joshua, because of scheduling conflicts. And don't be surprised if Worlds is canceled because of the scheduling conflicts.
That's not true. It's not going to happen. Don't listen to him on that one. Worlds is not going to get canceled.
All right, in your own opinion, if they couldn't have MSI because of scheduling conflicts,
they didn't have MSI because MSI is not as important at Worlds. The reason that they're not having a scheduling conflict is because of anything but the fact that there's a lot of delayed things. A lot of the teams in the prime of coronavirus cannot come over. TSM, you can make Worlds happen. You can do all these things that could make it work. If TSM does not get a new joke, that's 100% what it is. I think that, like, obviously, if we look at it, I mean,
I know, Josh. I like MSI. I love watching MSI every single year. It's fun to watch. It's nice having a little international event.
We should probably eventually finish this conversation about Doublelift.
It's okay. So let's start it from the top and work all the way down. Coaching staff.
That's the very top, yes.
So you have Parth and Zank. Okay. Then you have Lustboy. So those are the three coaches they have. Okay. So Lustboy is a person who lives in Season 5. Then you have Peter Zhang.
What is the point of Spring Split? I've said that since the beginning before MSI started. There was absolutely no point to Spring Split.
What's the point of Spring Split then? I mean, no, but this year is different because it's just this virus.
No, so it would never have meant anything, even if there was an MSI.
Tell it to TL.
I don't care.
Tell it to TSM, who got 4th and now we're replacing Kabe.
They're replacing
it matters
people.
To them.
It doesn't matter to them, obviously. They were trying stuff out. Look at G2, who completely tried something out that wasn't even necessary. They didn't need to change stuff up.
Split.
They ended up... Well, they won the split. That didn't matter. Like, again, Spring Split never actually mattered. I think Spring Split... They took it away... When they took away the championship points, Spring Split became completely irrelevant. Parth is not a coach. Parth is not a coach. What he's saying is Parth is a general manager, and he's saying that he's the overlying reason as to why the coaching staff never improves no matter what coach they get. I think that... Yeah, the reality is that I think that they consistently get these kind of coaches. Like, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know enough about Parth. I don't know if he's having a big say on these things, but it seems to be an overlying reason as to why that like TSM struggles is because they consistently don't play to their carries, like not their carries, their players' strengths.
You also have Lena, but I don't think She says
Lena doesn't do anything.
She said she makes offers toward these players, but they say no.
That has nothing to do with their problems, though.
I mean, if she is going out and trying to get players and it doesn't happen, that's not her fault. So it's not her fault. I'm saying at Parth, Lustboy, and Zhang. Lustboy, I don't know what he really offers other than an analytical point.
No, the reason is, first of all, Lena is almost irrelevant to bring into this because the struggles that they have nothing to do with drafting and all this stuff.
She only gets brought in because people keep saying she doesn't try to get players, but she does.
What players have they not got that they've wanted? They've gotten literally all of the big names. They got Kabe and all this stuff. It's really just not that. I think the big problem that TSM has, obviously, first of all, if you look at the Dardoch series, I mean, how they picked for Dardoch inside of the the FlyQuest series. Again, they pick a lot of junglers that are reliant. They can put down the CC. He's an extremely early aggressive jungler, and I don't even understand the Sejuani pick. Obviously, I mean he played that pretty fine later on towards the thing, but his thing is obviously with how poorly Broken Blade was playing, you don't need a champion that has CC and is reliant based on your teammates at that point to finish off the kills. You need somebody like when he picked the Elise who has the damage herself to finish off the kills. And how is anyone better than Bjergsen in the mid? LOL, please tell me. We haven't even brought up Bjergsen. It hasn't been said
Sean
yet.
Just does that. Sean just does that. Every time he hears Bjergsen, Bjergsen just pops in his head when Bjergsen was the best mid in North America.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
I know, it's crazy, though.
I mean, it literally was entire...
It's this split where he was not considered the best.
Well, I mean, this playoffs he definitely was. He was really good in the playoffs.
Hi,
does
Ryan.
TSM with Doublelift improve with team, or does it just bring more problems? I mean,
that was brought up in my podcast actually last night. We all we're half and half on it. Okay, so I personally think that bringing him in doesn't exactly solve any issues. It also adds more issues, but it can fix issues in the future if the roster gels together. Now, you're talking about TSM, so the roster's not going to gel together. That's just... Dark even said they didn't gel together. They don't have a game plan together. I mean... I don't know what more direct points people need.
I think the reality is, obviously... Look, what is your league rank? I've peaked a few times at Diamond 1. I think right now I'm not playing too much. I'm still at Diamond 4. But...
I don't play ranked because I get too toxic and I got banned, so I'm not trying to get banned again because I get really angry. Before you guys see me right now in this black, tall, dark, and handsome, suave, sexy dude, I used to be a toxic Tyler 1. And I was like, nope, if ranked makes me a bad person, I'm not going to play it. So I've not played in ranked in a very long time. But I mean, I still understand the game at a high level. I'm not like a moron.
So my big thing about it, first of all, I think the big underlying problem with if you even look at the series, it was picks for the jungler. I think are a big thing. I think that they always properly picked for the top lane. I don't think that's ever a problem. But they've been top centric for so long that obviously they're going to pick carries for the right people. They're not going to have a misunderstanding with that. But the problem is obviously like when they get into mid game, they usually have a lead at that point. I think that they don't know how to transition their early game leads into anything substantial. Like if you watch the FlyQuest versus TSM, as they dove a tier 1 at 22 minutes in, or somewhere around there, and let the inhib turret fall in both bot and almost in mid 2, like just for it was a 5-man for one person at 25 minutes in when they had Rift Herald. It was one of the worst calls you could possibly see. There's not a solidified shot caller on this team, and if there is, he's terrible.
They're doing that feeding information thing.
Is trying to sleep with any member of Cloud9 lineup. I can't stand that kid. TSM haters. The truth is, fear should be now said. What in the world are you talking?
Hold on, I'm gonna have to.
What is he talking about?
C9 Monte Cristo is trying to sleep with any member of the Cloud9 lineup. He's married, but I mean, I can't stand that kid. TSM haters. The truth is, fear should now be setting in the bones of you C9 fans. LO, the greatest in LCS.
Is
now
almost back. Slowly.
Go, Sean. I know him. He's so cool, dude. He's crazy. He's crazy.
My big thing, obviously, I think that with the big thing and the reason that mid game was so poorly done, do you think TSM will play with the fact that are both strong side lane players?
I think that could be a problem because now you have another issue, which Doublelift is there. Now do you have too many cooks in the kitchen, or?
I mean, there's no way. I don't think that's a problem.
So what is Dark going to gank for? The TSM's part owner or the guy who's sleeping with their CEO?
I think that's a joke that a lot of people like to say.
No, but that's a problem though.
It's really not a problem though. I think
he primarily ganked for Broken Blade.
He never ganks for mid, so that's really just not a thing. He ganks for bot and top are pretty substantial.
Dark barely ganked for bot.
He ganks he
throws him a gank here or there.
It's literally 1 to 2 times every single game, which is a substantial amount and can turn the tide of a lane. I mean, the reality is, I think that with early game aggressive picks, I think it'll be fine. I don't think there's going to be a misunderstanding between them to get ganks around anywhere. I think there might be a big problem with kind of resource evaluation and who should get them because there's a lot of carries on the team. But I don't think it's a big problem for the most part. I think my biggest issue with the team right now is transitional period from early to mid game. They always transition their leads poorly. They usually don't force objectives in the early game, even with their leads, and they usually lose the dragons. I don't see how they do that, even with the gigantic amount of leads they have. I mean, FlyQuest had the majority of the dragons early game in most of the series, but my big problem obviously is going to be my big thing about it is not the problem. Is maybe they can get because the one lane that was never winning in TSM was always bot. Bot lane was usually going even. like going even with them, and they couldn't transition that into like a hyper aggressive early game into a transition to like team fight mid, because with bot lane, the most important aspect of a team fight with the ADC not being ahead, they weren't able to transition into a strong team fight. And I think with maybe Double, who's is extremely like substantially stronger early game. I mean, maybe not this season, but I do think overall in general throughout their careers, Doublelift has been the stronger early game aggressive ADC. I think maybe with that, they're going to be able to transition that into a better team fight, which means that their lackluster mid game with the higher gold difference they're going to have is going to be kind of minimalized, and they're going to be able to transition that into a better more often. Like they usually try and force skirmishes in the mid game when they get leads, and I think they're going to be able to do that a little bit better. I mean, I don't like 1-3-1s with this because they're kind of forced into team fighting comps now with the team they have. I mean, none of the players on their team are kind of exceptional at 1-3-1s regardless. And I wouldn't say if you're going to build somebody who's going to be resource heavy in the bot lane, you can't like leave him in the dust to play a 1-3-1 comp. So all around, maybe they can go along with strong lanes and stop making Dardoch and Broken Blade play tanks. You know what? It's I mean, they're gonna pick it regardless because they shouldn't have been doing that already as it starts right now, but they're doing it regardless. Like they're gonna play tanks on Dardoch because they just have the mindset that this is what we need to do. Like the Sejuani pickup in Game 5 of the Team TSM versus FlyQuest series. What was that? Like you obviously see successful ganks, hyper aggressive early games from Dardoch every single game. The gank differential between Dardoch and Santorin was probably like 20-1. I thought there was one gank that Santorin had the entire series in the first 4 games, and it was a roam from like TSM. This man, I think this man might be a TSM fan. But I think
what gave you that idea?
I think his hard on for Bjergsen is probably the go. But I think that with what was I just talking about when I started talking about that?
Why put Dardoch on Sejuani?
Yeah, why? The big thing about it, like obviously you see him in hyper aggressive early game picks, and then you pick up Sejuani when you're literally every single one of the games previous to this was reliant on him being extremely dominant in comparison to Santorin, who's completely worthless. The entire series, the 2 worst junglers in the playoffs were Santorin and was that other guy's name that played in Evil Geniuses? Svenskeren was horrible. Like literally, if you look at the Evil Geniuses for FlyQuest Game 2, Santorin was blowing him out of water in just jump.
No ganks.
There was no ganks in that entire series. It was literally just team fights. It was literally just Santorin walked into Dragon, took it, just did it like 70 times, like every single time.
Threw a ward toward his blue, and it just did nothing.
The first 2 games of the series, they had 2 dragons before 15 minutes. And that's incredible. Like that just is domination right there. Absolutely no reason they should have had that because they didn't have bot side control. They just didn't contest it.
And I get told by people that Santorin's actually good.
Santorin is good. Santorin is a good player. Like in the playoffs or the regular season, he was probably the 3rd best jungler. Like just based off performance, I don't think he was the 3rd best jungler, but like performance wise, you can't deny.
Well, to be fair, a lot of the players in North America were really like. You can't. It's so hard to.
I mean, I'm not gonna say anything. I just think that NA doesn't have the best player base, and that's just reality of it. What it is, like EU, all these other regions have more players, are more serious about the game in general. I think that's a reason as to why it transitions.
A lot of people are like hard stuck Diamond 1.
No.
But there's like a lot of things going wrong in the solo queue. Like there's a lot of things wrong to the point where pro players don't play it. There's people hard stuck. They're doing a lot of games for their streams, so they pick like troll picks, like Pike jungle. They lose, they go 0-4, they AFK. It just the solo queue. I don't know if that can ever be improved on. I just don't think it will be. But going to TSM, I mean, I have a lot of things to say. So let's start with this. I think if Parth has this vision for what the roster should be. Like if Reginald's letting him do what he wants to do, and this is his vision of what the roster has to be. They need an aggressive bot lane that synergizes really well. Because obviously people knew going into the split, Kame and Biofrost were not going to be like a synergized bot lane who are going to play towards each other's strengths. You know, I think that most people would understand that. Most people even said that going in, so you got what you asked for. They didn't synergize. They kind of just played their own game. Balfrost would try to roam level 4, 5, or 6, try to get a gank off, didn't work. Then he would go back to bot lane. Kabe's behind because he has to back off because he gets chunked down. Now he has to recall. He has to come back. He's behind on a wave. Now he's behind. Dardoch only throws ganks top, so Bjergsen, even if he's winning, he doesn't get ganks, so he can't win either. And then you have Peter, who's giving Broken Blade the most aggressive top laner. Broken Blade was winning a lot of his matches early on, actually. But it didn't matter to the very end because he started slumping. That's why people didn't have him. People had him over Licorice in about 5-6 weeks in. And then people started getting off Broken Blade because he started playing more poorly. Like the Kayle top game is, probably the most noticeable of that. And then their drafts are kind of wonky too. Maokai mid, Kayle top. What the okay, like GG go next. If you have that in the solo queue game, it's GG go next because what the hell is that? That's just garbage. What? Maokai mid, Kayle top. Remember that game?
Oh yeah,
GG go next. If you even get that, that's horrible. This drafting is pathetic.
So I think we should talk about that one top first because it's a really short one. Do you think NA should try and draft like the LPL and LCK? If they draft like the LCK, they're going to be even worse. LCK,
have you seen those LCK drafts, bro?
Like if you look at the Dragon X versus Damwon, the first 3 games it was Varus versus Ezreal with mid lane of LeBlanc and Zoe. Every single game it was LeBlanc versus Zoe in the first 3. I was like, what is going on? They never changed that. They banned banned LeBlanc in the 4th game, and they just picked Irelia, which is just another counter to Zoe. So he got countered 4 straight games. Like I didn't understand
what is
it.
This
it was
level
like they
of
just
drafting?
Don't swamp up the drafting fate. Like LPL, they just play to their player strengths. They play what is going to team fight better. They play what's going to win us gate lanes. They kind of centralize things around that, and that's I think is the most. I think LPL has the best understanding still, again, I think 3 straight seasons of the meta, what it is right now.
What is that? I think TSM should stop trying to play so systematically and just focus on fundamentals, then allow their players to get comfort picks that have good synergy because they're all talented. A lot of players have said they like to play comfort and then experiment, because if you get comfort and you play well on that, then you have the confidence to play an experimental pick.
Yeah, I think that's okay. There's 2 things. I think Cloud9 has some sort of like general understanding of that. They put comfort picks onto their players and then kind of transition them into what they want them to play. The Reaper, with the environment of Cloud9, they can understand. They understand what players need and they transition them into that. Or you have coaches like Prolly, who literally who had designed. No name. They took all the names off the entire. Like, just look at Worlds when he went with 100 Days. Mm-hmm. Took all the names off the thing. They didn't realize he had Someday in the top lane. Always put a tank on Someday.
Gave him Scion into Fiora.
Put the carries on the mid laner, who was just complete garbage. At
Remember Ryu could have killed Cass by a Lissandra auto. He didn't take the claw.
He didn't take the claw. I think the reality is you have to understand that it's not only just playing comfort picks. You have to, even if you don't play comfort picks, you have to take your players into consideration when you're building comps around things. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're just so against comfort picks, it's just a general lack of understanding of what the players on your team's play styles.
Like Sneaky last year could only play things like Ezreal because he just wasn't strong in lane. So Reaper have to give him an unfavorable lane matchup. So he's forced to give over a counter pick and a stronger ADC because his ADC can't really play aggressive.
The thing about Ezreal is he's countered by nobody because he just plays well.
But he's safe. It's not really safe. Exactly.
He's just not countered. Like, you can't kill Ezreal. If you kill Ezreal, that's just because the Ezreal's just not able to play Ezreal.
Then you have TSM. Bjergsen didn't look standout in the regular season, but he did play really well in the playoffs.
I think he played fine. I think he was a top 3 to top 4 mid laner.
Because if you're just judging Bjergsen off the playoffs, he was at least still top 3.
I think he was the best mid laner in the playoffs. Like, that's my honest opinion. I think he played He completely dominated Power of Evil in their series.
The backdoor game he had, the Azir games he had.
I think that Jukesay honestly was... not Jukesay. Power of Evil was actually outplaying Niski for a substantial amount of the series in that. It just didn't work out because the skirmishes on TSM are so favored. Like, Bjergsen was the only solidified player that I think consistently played better than his lane counterpart.
This man yelled at me. This man was like just yelling at me. He's like, this man... TSM in Broken Blade picked Aurelia and then lost. I was like, I remember he picked Aurelia. I thought he had a good game. Then I realized he didn't. He actually stunk on it.
Well, the thing about it is, if you remember the game, I remember he 1v5 flanked and died before he got through the second part of his like, I just never understood.
He's undefeated at Worlds.
I mean, I actually think TSM is going to make it to Worlds. I think that there is a lack of shot calling.
And then not make it out of groups.
No, I mean, Doublelift Bjergsen has worked out really well, in my opinion. I think that it didn't work. I mean, obviously, there might have been little
internal issues
internally, but I do think those are the two best players, in my opinion, that work together so well when they were on point. Like, 2016 is the single best team NA has ever produced. I think that Biofrost,
Haunter,
Svenskeren, all those people just worked so well, in my opinion. Like, especially not Spring Split, obviously. I did not like when they had Yellow Star. But
yeah.
For the most part,
but they talked about that one time too. So going in, Yellow Star was given to be the shot caller, and then when they were 9-9, they knew they had to face Cloud9, who was also just better than them during the regular split. Doublelift and Bjergsen instead, they took their team away from Yellow Star. They just took control. That's why they did better. That's why they did better against Immortals, because Yellow Star wanted them to play a certain way. They didn't want to play that way. Yellow Star and Doublelift didn't have the best synergy. Also, Doublelift didn't think Yellow Star was good. You know, a lot of different things.
The Yellow Star at this point in time was at the low part of his career.
To be fair, Doublelift was right. He didn't do better when he went back to Fnatic that same season anyway.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree. I think that Yellow Star was an extremely good shot caller, but he was just not mechanically able to keep up at that point in his career. Like, he just
was
wasn't
losing to high support. Like, what the hell?
I mean, I would lose to high support. I'd probably stomp high support because I'm so good.
He got engaged now.
I don't care.
Okay. This man hates everything.
I played with high in Valorant.
This man said he played with Captain Flowers and flamed him.
I did flame Captain Flowers because he flamed me. He didn't flame me. He didn't talk to me at all.
When
he refused to respond to me.
This man flames me. We were driving to Walmart. This man flames me about Piglet. I'm like, okay,
you started that conversation.
I was like,
Captain Flowers is inside of my solo queue game playing Tom Kench at 0-17, and I said, okay, and he's just walking towards the inhib turret. And I'm like, man, you're just a super minion. Stop playing like a super minion. Like, what in the world is going on? I mean, if I had known he was a rioter, I wouldn't have said anything. I mean, I don't want to get banned.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that TSM's ceiling will cap out at least second to first place, depending on how Cloud9 play. If they play as well as they did this split, they might still be first or second. They might lose a few more games, because they have 2 games against TSM, so they might lose those 2 games, which means they'll be like, what, 16-2, something like that? Mm-hmm. But then you also have to factor in TL. TL might be going through some changes. I think if TL want Kabe, they're going to have to start switching the roster, because this is what I mentioned, that Broxa jokingly joked about joining TSM.
That would be garbage if he joined. He's not.
That's kind of TSM. Broxa's kind of spicy.
It's not spicier than Dardoch. TSM.
Broxa does play towards one lane, so if they want to play to one person,
is substantially better at the early game than him.
International power ranking, LPL, LEC.
I'm going to point out. I think that LEC in general. I think that the only team that I put internationally capable or competent enough to fight, I think, is G2. I think Fnatic is hot garbage on the international stage, even though they succeeded in the LEC. I think that it elevates them with G2 because, again, with creating G2, they put all the All-Stars onto one team. I still despise that. I hate when they put the best players onto one team. But I think that G2 themselves are competent enough to play in the international stage. I don't think Fnatic could beat any of the top 3 of the LPL. I don't think they could beat...
They're not beating IG this year at all. Not even close.
Gen.G versus T1. I think that T1 is...
Oh, yeah.
I think that T1 is 100% going to win. I think that Kana, with the way he's playing right now in the playoffs, is going to completely decimate Roach. It's not even going to be close. I think he's going to... Rascal. Why did I say Roach? Whatever. I think he's going to completely put him in the dumpster. I think that Faker is playing really well right now. Like, I was actually extremely impressed with, like, just his level of play. Even though he's not dominating lanes... His abilities to be impactful inside of team fights, like if you look at the Corki, every single time Packers was up, he had a really impactful engage. I mean, the bot lane, there is the only competent bot lane that I think, there's only 3 competent, like insanely ridiculous bot lanes in LCK, and they're both, 2 of them are in the finals right now. So I think that's going to be pretty close to me.
Yeah. I like Deft and Kira. As a bot lane, those
they were really good. I mean, just look at what they did to stupid
Teddy and
Ghost. Effort. No, they didn't do anything to them. Fnatic is not garbage. The mental is just not on point, to be honest. I think they have players that are pretty solid again. I don't think Fnatic... No, it's kind of just destroyed. Like, he didn't play this well in the regular season.
But I think It's hard to really judge Fnatic, though.
I think they're good. I mean, I think reality is, I think that Alphari is a tier above Bwipo, even though I don't think it showed in the regular season. I still think that's the case.
I think Bwipo played amazing in the regular season. The issue is Fnatic are a gatekeeper team if you're talking about international teams. So people always have gatekeeper teams in their league. Splice was that for EU. I don't know who that was for NA. That's always like rotating that stuff. Yeah. I don't even know what that is.
NA just doesn't have anybody. I think that...
like, Fnatic are a team that can beat people worse than them because of their game sense and how they play macro, but they can't beat people better than them, if that makes sense. They can't beat someone like IG consistently in a best of 5.
My big problem with Fnatic, obviously, is I think that their tempo of the game actually increased drastically when they brought in Selfmade. I think they have a lot of things going good for them right now. I think that they're able competently to beat a lot of teams. They could take games, and I honestly think on a really good day with Selfmade and all these people on point, I think they could take like a series off some of the LPL and LCK teams. But I think in general,
because they did get out of the group of death last year.
Well, it wasn't a group of death. That was just
the SKT RNG. Really?
What's up? I'm
SKT and
RNG
for SK. That's a group of death.
It was in theory. I mean, I just don't think it turned out to be one. I mean,
I don't know, because
did you see SKT RNG last season?
SKT RNG and Fnatic and Clutch Gaming don't count Clutch Gaming. That they're not a group.
Did you see last season?
It was literally last Worlds.
Hold up, with you okay? He always does that, and I always think he's dying. Freaks me out.
But I think that's who Fnatic are. They're just gatekeepers. Like, they do have good players. That's not debatable. The issue is they're not exactly a team that can beat people better, because the better teams do what they're doing better, and they have the better players. So they're double knocked out.
No, it's just reality is I think that Fnatic is just like they have the tempo. They 100% improved from last year's season. I think that Bull is playing on another level.
They're flexible now, so that's a good thing.
I don't know if flexibility's changed too much. I just think that they're able to play aggressive junglers, and I just think that's the biggest difference. I think that the reality is that I do think they're able to do it. I don't think that Reckless is going to transition well onto the international stage. I don't think he's competent enough to beat any of the top 3 ADCs in LCK or LPL. And I think that he's going to struggle against those. And I honestly don't think that Reckless would beat Cloud9's bot lane. Like, as much as most people don't want to say that, I think that right now, I think Sven and Vulcan are one of the best bot lanes in NA. Like, in the West. Kana is insanely good. Like, again, I don't want to keep saying
Kana is... I told people, once we saw Kana play at that Kespa Cup, goodbye Roach's job.
Well, I mean, we didn't know he was going to become this good.
I saw it. I saw that Kespa Cup, and I saw Kana play, and he's played...
He wasn't even the best top laner in that series.
All you do is just outperform Roach. That's it. Roach is not good.
Roach is fine. I mean, the thing about it is Kana completely turned to just completely 180'd his play style inside of the playoffs.
The fact that he can take tanks and solo kill people is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, the one tank you can do that on is Ornn. Ornn spikes so hard with one item because he can build so much extra resistances and all that stuff, and he has so much max HP ingrained into his damage that I can understand why it could happen out of all the tanks, but that early on against a Jay, it should never have happened. I mean, I over-exaggerate. Fnatic isn't garbage. I think I just get a little... antsy.
Fnatic just works people up, though.
It works me up mostly because I think people are putting them... I saw somebody put them in the top 5 for World. I think that G2 is a top 5 to top 8 team right now.
Because people said that C9 wouldn't be anywhere in the LEC. Okay, so let's talk about these LEC teams that people are overrating right now.
Roach is fine, and he's not... Again, he's not that big. I agree
with that. What SKT need, he's not that. That's the thing I'm saying.
That's understandable, but you made it sound like Roach was complete trash.
I don't think he's that guy good.
He's really, I think he's completely above average.
That's not what they need. They want to win Worlds. You don't win Worlds with players like Roach.
I'm disagreeing with that, but I think you made it sound like he was hot garbage. I understand.
He's literally worse than Bwipo.
He's
about Bwipo level, and SK2 don't. I don't know. I just don't think he's really that good. I think above average is fine for him. He'll do fine on a team like Hanawa Life because they have no aspirations for Worlds, so it doesn't matter. But they have Cuvée now, so that means they're washed up. But what was I saying? Also, okay, so let's talk about these really good LEC teams people keep overrating to me. Team Vitality, garbage. SK Gaming, okay, that's 2 teams out. What's the other team? Schalke, bad. XL Esports, They were also bad. All right, so Cloud9 already slots in the top 6. Those people are unanimously pretty bad.
Why are you defending Cloud9? They obviously, most normal people know.
But then you get who's the 6th place team? Rogue. No, Misfits are 6th place. Yeah, Misfits. So Misfits have B-Boy, Razor.
What are we doing right now?
No, I'm just trying to say, would Cloud9 beat Misfits in a best of 5?
Yes. I mean, I think the most realistic, normal people put them in the top 3 of the E. Like,
they might actually lose to Origin.
I think they would beat Origin. I think the reality is, I think the only teams that Cloud9 would struggle with are G2, who I think would just beat them. And I think they might struggle with Fnatic. But for the reality is, I think most people who aren't just hard on NA haters put Cloud9.
I'd say they put. I would say top 4 because I think Origin would give them a run for their money. Maybe if you can beat Origin, then you could be top.
They're definitely better than Origin.
Oh, but forgot. Yeah, Mad Lions. Mad Lions are actually
definitely better than Mad Lions. I think I'm giving Mad Lions some credit, but C9 is better than Fnatic. I mean, I think so too.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
I think that Fnatic has, like, honestly, might have, like.
Well, let's go. Okay, so people are saying, so if C9 are playing against Fnatic, let's go player by player then. So let's go. What was the top lane? Bwipo, Licorice.
I think Licorice is probably better, but I think that Bwipo.
He plays bad into Bwipo all the time, though.
It was one time.
He played Belly of Rift Rivals too.
Rift Rivals doesn't count.
Oh my god! But if he won, you'd be like, "Yeah, he crushed."
I wouldn't have said anything. I don't remember Rift Rivals. I don't watch it.
All right, Selfmade versus Blabber.
I think that Selfmade would stomp Blabber. That's the big difference, and I think that's the reason I would put. I think Fnatic would probably win 6 out of 10 times because of Selfmade versus Bwipo.
Because in the LEC, who are the top teams, and what's their strongest players usually? Junglers, Yanko, Selfmade, 2 of the biggest stud Chad junglers. Just styling on kids.
No, I just what it is. Like, I think the difference between these two is what it was.
Niski versus Nemesis. That's pretty even, I'll say. Niski could.
I think Nemesis would beat him down.
I think Nemesis would have a hard time with him, but I don't think it would be a stomp.
I don't think it would be hard. I mean, Nemesis would substantially outlane him.
Because Nemesis isn't like. How would I say this? Like, he doesn't really prioritize lane. Nemesis, this play has been focused on, like, roaming.
I'm just saying, Nemesis is a better player than Niski, in my opinion.
But it's not, like, that bad. It's like 60-40.
Pretty marginal.
I'm going to say 60-40.
Maybe.
And you have the bot lane, which is...
Sometimes Bwipo and Hylissang kind of... No, you know who would be the difference maker? Hylissang, on his good days, is probably one of the best support... It's probably top 3, top 2 supports in the West. Hylissang, on his bad days, is just... top 2 or 3 worst junglers supports in the league. Like, his reality is he's so inconsistent that it's hard for me. Like, if Fnatic go into international tournaments, it's reliant on how well Hylissang is going to play because he's the big difference maker on whether or not they're going to succeed because he literally runs it down sometimes. Like, there's been a few games where he's just not been relevant. I mean, again, it's...
Look at that last series against G2. He straight up ran it down. Bwipo probably ran it down harder.
Plus, Ornn buys items without basing, so he has... Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Like, The difference... Jace should win that lane matchup. I think the reality is, like, I do think that Ornn... I can give some slack because Ornn is oppressive. Ornn's oppressive, he has a lot of damage, and he doesn't have to back to get a power spike. But the difference is that Ornn does not win that early. This was during the first
level
buy.
6.
It wasn't.
Right?
Was it even level 6 yet?
I don't know. Because he just got his ultimate and then he used it and he chunked him out with the knockup thing that Ornn does.
Yeah,
and he killed him.
I'm just saying he tower dove him as Ornn, and it shouldn't happen. And then he beat him like just. He straight up won every single version of the matchup in every single he won the aggressive play style with
he got Doran got Aatrox versus Jace. Doran lost that.
Yeah, he won the Jace matchup, so obviously he's better at Jace too. Like, he just won every version of the matchup, and it was a little bit embarrassing.
Even the game where Kana probably asked for Lucian.
Hylissang's Thresh is amazing. Yes, I mean I think that it is kind of.
I don't know because it's hard though. Mickey X is better than Hylissang mechanically. But Hylissang has a better mind for the game.
I completely disagree. I think Hylissang's mind is just reliant on playmaking, and I think Hylissang can see the plays, but he doesn't know whether or not to. If he sees the play in front of him, he's gonna go for it, and that doesn't always work out. And I think that's the biggest problem with Hylissang is if he sees an opening, he's gonna go for it, and that's exploitable. But at the same time, he has the mechanics to be able to pull it off for the most part. And I think that's something you'll rarely see him just be completely worthless, but you will see him I mean, what was the game? It was one of the last games of the season.
Oh, he played. I think he played Thresh.
Yeah, I mean, it
was Thresh Aphelios.
Zac Top or Callista Top, which is better? I mean, Callista Top got nerfed substantially with the with base armor. They nerfed her base armor and AD scaling on something. I can't remember on her A or Q. I think that is something I do see a problem with Kalista top right now. I'd still like Zac top Zac top is reliant on the enemy team's picks. I think it's fine to get in the last pick because it is so easy to interrupt his jump. If you saw the G2 versus Fnatic series, that
G2, just show you how useless Zac can be when he's that behind. Yeah. Actually, Bwipo got soloed by Orin against Wonder. Playing Zac.
Zac gets completely stomped by Orin.
No, he lost. He was 21 CS.
Zac just gets completely demolished by Orin because Orin has the ability to ignore his CC. Orin has more HP % damage. Orin just wins that match.
I think people are picking Zac for early game dives. Obviously, no. Zac works really, really, really well with that. So, it makes sense. But the issue with Hylissang is that he doesn't synergize. Hylissang needs to... The reason why people thought he was a really great support in the world in 2018, the best, is because he synergized really well with Broxa. He's not synergized well with what's his name? Selfmade. Yeah, Hylissang is really good when he synergizes with his jungler. Back in the day when he was on Unicorns of Love, he synergized really well with Kikis, Xerxes. No one can synergize with Rudy because that guy is horrible.
I do kind of want to point out.
Lenny with Reckless helps him though.
Zac top again. I think the big reason as to why I don't think it's that incredible is because if you can pick there's different a large amount of champions that have the ability to interrupt his very telegraphed jump. You can only do it from Fog of War, and a lot of champions can react to it because it's so slow. So if you look at the G2 versus Fnatic series, they picked Zac top the first time. G2 picked it. And they were able to pick it because the only version of CC they had to stop it was the only reason the version of CC they had to stop the jump was the Trundle Pillar. But when Fnatic picked it, they picked Janna and Trundle, which has many different versions of CC. So I think that Zac top can be more useful than Kalista top, but Kalista top it works in every meta.
What would I say about that? Zac top is that thing you pick for your team to be a team player. I don't think that's a thing you pick for winning
Lehans
lane.
Was never the best, no. I don't think Lehans was ever at any point in time the best.
Lehans,
he was the support.
Oh, the Viper. I switched him up.
Viper was the ADC.
Yeah. Lehans is on Hana Life, isn't he?
Yes,
yeah, he's not... He wasn't you know how people said Griffin had 5-star players? Lehans was not the star.
Okay, so I think that Core JJ has just completely wrote love letters inside of what I've seen as a lot of social medias to Tactical so much. He said, I love laning with this guy, all this stuff so often that I think it's almost inevitable that he's going to play.
Jacob Wolf said they're most likely going to go with Tactical.
Yeah, Tactical, it just seems like there's so many positives I've seen out of the teams about his positive attitude, all these things, that I think it's almost impossible for them not to play him at this point.
And the reason why I would say Tactical, I even said people this, if they didn't get Kabe, Tactical is your next best bet. Because remember, when TL...
They can't get Kabe, they have to...
No, if they made the changes, but they didn't. But
why would they make the changes?
What I was saying was, you know how people early in the split said that TL played their best games with Tactical? Why not just do that again?
I don't think so. I think their best games were actually post at the end of the season the last 2 weeks.
No, but when they were going through their problems.
Well, yes, when they had their problems.
No, but people said they played the best week at that point with Tactical. Why not just recreate that again?
Well, maybe, but I still think their best things were still with Doublelift. I think that Tactical is not on the level of Doublelift to point where, because their goal with this team, they got a lot of superstars. Their goal is to win Worlds. Or at the very least make Worlds. They want to make it to Worlds. And they're not going to do... I don't think they can do that with Tactical. I don't think Tactical is good enough for that. But,
again... I don't like putting asterisks on that. We just don't know. Because he
can't know anything.
He could be strong in a certain meta. Depends on what meta we have.
Well, these are hypotheticals. You don't go by hypotheticals to
Are you going to go with the whole hypothetical that he's just garbage?
I'm not saying he's garbage, but I can say based off what I've seen that he's not good enough to bring them to Worlds.
I'll give you an example to that. Wonder was on Splice back in the day.
He looked good.
He did not really.
He did look fine.
He looked okay. But you think his ceiling is pretty low because Splice were in relegation at one point.
Yeah, but their coach said that Tactical was too quiet and wanted to go back and Doublelift to go back to DL when he was benched.
Oh yeah, because they thought that they were losing because they had no communication. I remember he's not lying about that.
Team Liquid is going to get destroyed by TSM because first of all, there's no improvement they can make. They genuinely could not get better than they were at the end of the season. Like that end post, like the end of the split, they can't get better than that. And I think the reality is TSM only has up to go. TSM can only get, but they can either resort back to Kabe, which is already better than tactical Team Liquid, or they can go to Doublelift, which is again on the high points is better than anything they could do. Like, I don't see Team Liquid being better than them. I don't see a reality that happens.
I mean, you gotta... are you going with because they have better players that can work out, or are you going with better team-wise? Because most TSM teams, besides that one TSM team that was in 2016, Summer, they don't synergize well.
Well, just the TSM just beats the lower-tier teams because they're so good at
We thought they would do that this split, though. They didn't really do that
this split. They really did that. Like, they lost against the best teams. They lost against coordinated teams like FlyQuest. They lost against CLG. They lost a few times. Yeah, they lost a few times to the bad teams. But for the most part, their big thing was they lost to all the best teams. The most of their wins came off of teams below 500.
Did they lose to TL once? Yeah, they did.
I'm just saying.
They have 999. Yeah,
most of their wins came in that. In Team Liquid video, Dodo said they were going to make tactical play for the rest of the split. Well, I mean...
But then see, it was literally, at that point, it wasn't working. You bring in tactical, everybody says he didn't play that good, but it was like the best they've ever looked. One bad game, bring in Doublelift.
Well, I'm
and you're benching him. Ooh, come on.
I don't think it was bad. I think that their goal is to win Worlds. They can't win Worlds with tactical. They can't make it to Worlds with tactical.
I don't want to put asterisks on that because you're doing the same thing too. You're saying, "Oh, I've seen a little bit of him. That means that's all he's ever going to be."
We've seen what he can do. We've seen you can see the potential of a player based off their play. You can see misplays and all that stuff. But potential and all these things, their abilities are shown in most of the time in the first two games.
What about certain ways the team plays, like a hierarchy of power? What about if they're just not playing through him correctly?
They're playing completely through him. No, like he was every single game that he was in, he was the focal point of most of their comps. That was just
and he played pretty well.
He played fine. He just wasn't good.
Like, I don't want to take a sample size of 3 games.
TSM Closer is almost perfect fit now. If they have an import slot open, they don't have an import slot
and
open.
I don't think Closer will play for them.
I don't like. I think that
they would ruin that guy.
If they, you know what? No, they would have a team. They would have an import slot.
You're right, actually, Henry. You're right.
But I don't think that Closer would work out pretty well.
Not the way he played on Golden Guardian.
Well, no, he played fine, but I mean, obviously, early aggressive junglers just don't work for them. Like Dardoch is just the reality is the reason Dardoch didn't work is like his earlier game aggressive jungling was honestly, in my opinion, better than Closer's this season. The reason it didn't work is because first of all, the games they didn't have early game leads were on poorly picked choices for Dardoch, and on top of the fact they never transitioned into mid game. Like Closer doesn't provide anything Dardoch already doesn't provide for TSM. Their problems again. Dardoch did run it down a few times. I think that inconsistencies in like communication is the reason Dardoch's not looking as good. But I don't think Closer is better than Dardoch. I honestly don't see a reason to get rid of it. They do. No, I do. They do have one. I forgot they're getting rid of Kabe. Like it didn't pop.
They do have an import slot open. They might use that for Broxa.
Broxa is trash. Broxa is not as good as Dardoch. He doesn't provide what they need. They need hyper aggressive early game.
To be fair,
scaling. They have a lot of early game aggressive players. If they transition into a later scaling thing with Broxa, they're going to be bad.
I don't think that they would be later scaling.
They would be later scaling.
Broxa knows how to play through one player, and if he only plays through one player correctly...
He doesn't have early game aggression. That's why they replaced him with Selfmade. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the thing.
He doesn't know how to do these things. That's why Selfmade was replacing him. That's why I don't think he'd be good against replacing... What's his name? Like, there's just no reality where I think Broxa should be in place over Dardoch. He just doesn't provide what they need.
Like, I think if Broxa doesn't succeed with TL this split, I think him eventually going to TSM is not a bad idea.
I think Broxa would never work for this version of TSM. I think that there's no reality where I think I would like... Yes, I agree. His ults, his Qs were all trash in that... Was it the 100 Thieves series?
Oh,
I think
my lord.
His Gragas in that series was completely terrible.
My man Dardoch just loves throwing these games sometimes.
When Dardoch was on Contra Champs, Gragas, he was trash on. I agree. I think I've seen him in previous seasons be good on Gragas, which kind of blew my mind that he was so bad on it. Like, I've seen him be good on Gragas. I've seen Flash Predate, like all these things. But his ults were all terrible. His Qs were all terrible.
Do you guys remember a game where, in the 100 Thieves series, he played so well towards Someday that in the next game he played Jarvan again? I was so confused. I'll bring it right now. We can see it, but you guys can't. Eventually, we're gonna have you guys see what we're seeing. Eventually,
TSM's best game. Yeah, again,
I'll show you guys in 1 second, so he can talk to you guys for 1 second. Because this game did that 180 on me. That's why I was like, if FlyQuest beat them, it's not that surprising.
He didn't play Gragas in the FlyQuest series.
FlyQuest TSM. It was this one right here. this was his best game of the split right here. He completely ran it with Broken Blade to beat 100 Thieves. He played this right here. Okay, so you have this game 4 where he plays Rek'Sai, right? Okay, so you have the game 4 against FlyQuest. Notice the same thing here? Oh yeah, he plays an early aggressive jungler and they win.
J4 is also an early aggressive jungler. The problem with Rek'Sai, at least, the difference between them and J4 is the fact that they have the finishing damage. They can kill the people themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not relying on the laners to be able to follow up or be able to put out the DPS to be able to finish them off. That's the reason that it's different from the J4 pick. Did Gragas make Spec look so...
They could bring in Spica!
They could not bring in Spica. Don't ever say that again. Shut up. What does that mean?
I mean, if they want someone to be their bitch, they could play Spica.
Literally just not play Spica because he's not good at playing. Like, Dardoch, on his worst days, is better than Spica was ever.
I know.
Spica just wasn't good. Spica should not ever play.
I mean...
No. Why would you do that? Why would you resort to Spica?
Before I get to that, the only correlation I was making is that in both Game 4s against the series where they have to win this game to get to a Game 5, they give him early aggressive picks like Elise and Rek'Sai, and he wins the game for them. So what's the reason for giving him Sejuani in Game 5?
They didn't ban it. The reality is the reason they're doing this is because, on point, if you look at the comps themselves, they're fine. It looks like a really solid comp, but it literally, again... It's a print and play. You're not taking your players into consideration. You're just kind of putting...
They're taking the best picks possible.
No, they're picking comps that work and not comps that work for their players. That's just what it is.
But they like to play...
Spica is garbage. Everybody knows that, except for apparently this guy. Apparently he thinks, no, there's no world... You play Spica, you don't make it to playoffs. That's what would happen. I honestly think that would make the difference for them not making
TSM like those... Not saying bitch, but...
He's not
They
good
like those dog junglers.
If you can... Even functionally make Spica work in your brain, you don't understand the jungle role. He's not good. He's not good. He doesn't work in any meta. He doesn't have the mechanics to outplay anybody. Like, there's just... It wouldn't make sense to me. Dardoch was marketed as a mechanical god. He looked like more of a strategist. No. I mean, I think the big thing, again, even his Sejuani, besides the misplays he had, were mechanically good. He had a lot of good ults.
Engages, dies, then team loses. Fight, yeah.
No, he played his FlyQuest series. He was the best player on TSM that entire series.
I don't think people give Kabe enough credit. He played pretty well.
He was the third best, maybe.
I mean, he was consistent.
Well, that's because consistency is
consistent with Dardoch basically running it down, dying, and then.
Dardoch was the best player in that series. Dardoch was literally the best player in that series for the TSM. Literally every single one of their early game aggressive kills was based off him. He didn't miss anything on what's it called? If you look at the failed ganks in bot lane, you look at the mistimed thing between Kabe, who messed that gank up. And Vilefrost, who landed his hook. Kabe made that gank fail.
What about this? For all the TSM fans that are in here, I know you guys are TSM fans. Don't lie to me.
I'm a TSM fan right now.
This guy disgusts me. Okay. In this series right here against FlyQuest. So this is a series you gotta win to at least get third place. I think if they get third place, they
Bjergsen was the best in the first two games. Once they resorted to taking him off Victor, I don't think he was as impressive. The same thing with what's his name? Who's the support? Ignar. Once Ignar was no longer on Rakan, I think he was just worthless. I think his Thresh gameplay was just not impressive to me. Dardoch can be really good if he gets his early game junglers next split. Blabber is similar to Dardoch. He was on Lee Sin. I don't think Blabber is good. I don't think Blabber is as good as what I'm saying. I think
Dardoch is mechanically better than Blabber.
Dardoch is mechanically
but Blabber has a better team at the moment.
Dardoch has better skirmishing teams, which is why his skirmishes... He's always in the skirmishes, and that's the reality what makes him look a little better. I don't think his decision-making is as good as Dardoch's, and I don't think his mechanics are. Bjergsen saved him again and again. I don't think so.
Bjergsen saved their asses in that first game. The
team fighting is literally not on him. He can just engage for the team. All of his engages were great. Mm-hmm. The reality is, once he engages an ult, he's worthless. That's just what I wanted
to ask the people who are TSM fans in here. Okay, so let's look at this from a Doublelift perspective, since you guys all think he's going to upgrade TSM. All right, so this series, if they beat FlyQuest, they don't make any changes, right? So let's say you take out Kabe for Doublelift. Anything changes. Do they even win? Because FlyQuest were playing pretty well. Here's the thing, though. They're thinking in their mind that putting Doublelift in this situation would have got them to at least third place. I think that
if you put Cody's son in that situation, I think they still do as well as they did before. I don't think...
Over Kabe?
Kabe's better than him, but Cody's son, I think the difference between them is completely completely negated this season. I don't think Kami's played as well as he did in the U. Dardoch doesn't know how to learn team fight. He's been team fighting. Like, again, I think the reality is... The reality is J4 is a linear team fight. He has his EQ, and when he ult, that's the only usefulness he has. I think that he messes up a lot on tanks because I think that he still plays them like aggressive AD, like damage DPS kind of players. But if the reality is, I don't think he's been playing poorly. I think he played poorly this season.
I think he kind of does do the same thing over and over. Like, he does, but he'll switch it up every now and again.
I think he did the same thing over and over again in last series because that's just what their comps called for. They picked Aatrox, a kind of stagnant bot lane with like Echo and Azir. They're not gonna.
I remember. Why did they pick Echo? What did
Echo works really well into Azir, and Echo scales pretty well too.
But Bjergsen didn't play like it. That's the thing. He didn't play like that in the.
I'm just saying. Echo, like the thing about it is, I think that they're building comps that require him to do the same thing over and over again. That's just what it is. They built comps like.
They need a coaching staff that builds. They need drafting that fixes what their problem is. Their problem in this moment is that they're not exactly capitalizing on all their advantages, though.
What are you talking about? I can point out a few of them that he missed. I think the EQ and bot lane was missed. No. Like, even most of his ganks, I don't think he missed a single one in the game. That I remember, I could be misremembering. I don't remember him missing one in any of the ganks. Every single one of his ganks were flash Qs that he actually landed, which are they're easy, but still.
This is just all I'm gonna say because people you gotta factor in. Okay, so you put Doublelift in this series. Do you win it still? That's what I'm asking. Is that people thinking that he's gonna come in and fix everything? Like, that's what you have to ask yourself. Is he really? Would you have won this series with Doublelift?
I think the big thing about it, again, does he fix their mid-game shot calling? And I think maybe. If he becomes a shot caller, at least something changes.
Is their jungler just going to only go bot like he was for all the other Doublelift teams?
He doesn't have to change his playstyle. The big thing about it...
they're going to clash on that.
Their playstyle, he doesn't require ganks. I think the thing about it is, the reason they're not succeeding is they're winning every bot lane. They're winning... not bot lane. They lose every... They go even everybody. They're winning every early game. It's just not the problem. They don't need to worry about ganks. What they need to worry about is the fact that bot side river for teamfight he missed.
He's saying that he might miss.
I honestly don't remember every single one. I did watch the games. I'm trying to remember which one you're talking about, but for the most part, I think he played Jarvan pretty well. Most junglers do eventually miss like 1 to 2 for a season. For a series.
Yeah, he's not saying he.
I think Dardoch in general just played better than everybody else. I think once Bjergsen was off Victor, I don't think he was as useful as anybody else. I think that his Victor, he was the most useful character in the first 2 games. I think that he was not as useful once Victor got swapped off.
Look at that previous TSM series.
I think the biggest issue with TSM is that their rosters is built to play around topside, yet they insist on putting Dardoch on stuff like
Sedge and Gragas
and Stoneplate J4. That's what it is. Did Riot nerf damage junglers J4? If not, why are LC... Because, essentially what happens if you build J4 as damage... He's only going in you can one-shot the team, but it's required that you get a 5-man ult, or you're just completely worthless because J4 sits in there. I'm not hating on him. I love his potential. I know I'm not saying you are. I'm just I honestly think he played well in my opinion. That's just what it is.
Yeah, it's just all opinion.
I just don't agree that he was playing well at all. At all. The difference in ganks was so drastic. It was the only reason they were winning the early game.
He played well when it was clutch time.
No, he only played...
he played well in those specific game 4s that I mentioned.
His early games were insanely good. The only reason they won early games, they didn't win... Broken Blade was losing every single one of the lane matchups.
To Solo.
In this season. To Solo, yes. And then he ended up turning it around, getting the slight CS differential because Dardoch was getting the game. I just don't see a world where Dardoch wasn't at the very least the second best player in the series.
I could attest to this. He played bad in Academy the previous year. So, him not playing...
He did his job? Just look at the difference. Santorin's pick was designed to have more often ganks or at least contest objectives. Yet, Santorin had not a singular solo gank the entire series. He had 1 solo gank, and yet he was... but again, he was still useful in the team fights. Yeah, because that's what happens with jungling this season. The way it works is Santorin was power farming, which means that catch-up XP is nerfed, which you can't catch up XP with counter like jungling. Once you're behind, and you can't catch back up. He was losing his buffs because he was consistently ganking the opposite side. They should have jacked. I agree with that, but I don't think he played his pick improperly. I think he was probably quadruple the effectiveness that Santorin was that entire series.
I think you guys are forgetting something. TSM's style literally just sacks their junglers.
I mean, I think that maybe sometimes I think
their style is he is legitimately forced to play towards one lane, and if it doesn't work out, then he looks bad. I think their style of jungling is not even optimal towards how you play League now. It's just in their mind everything works out, and they have this like perfect idea of how to play. Like, what are you doing? You know, like why is the Jarvan ganking for an Aatrox against a Gangplank when the Aatrox wins it early on? Like,
I think hasn't
make any sense for them.
If they consistently put Dardoch on early game junglers that he's comfortable with, he will control the pace of the early game, and the game is over at 15. They won't be, because they have the worst decision making in mid game I've ever seen out of a team. Like literally Renegades, that little death. Quadruple death thing they did on the map. That's just the mindset that TSM has in the mid game.
Oh, Ryan asked us our funny League moment. That's my funniest League moment when they all died to Rift Herald and its turret.
My funniest League moment. I don't know. I don't have fun in League, so I don't know. I just hate League.
Like, look at this. In the game 1 in FlyQuest, 25 minutes in, if you guys go look, he ganks for Broken Blade, Cataclysms with Bjergsen. They kill him. Like, he's forced to play through one person.
I think Doublelift completely contradicts that place. I mean, it's an early aggressive. ADC. It just the only thing that I see maybe being a problem is the amount of resources that are going to be needed to be funneled into 3 hyper aggressive, wanting to be carry types of players in the early game. Like that's the only thing. Like the resource allocation is going to be the big deal. I see that's going to be the biggest problem. But I think that Doublelift actually like doesn't inhibit this playstyle at all, because he's actually better at early game aggression than Kobbe is. Kobbe is pretty bad. He more so kind of neutralizes the mid game and plays better than them in late. Like with Kobbe, you have a good late game. That kind of gives you a fallback on like if we don't win the early game and we kind of falter in the mid game, we still.
But they don't want to play late game anymore. They want to play early game to translate into mid lane skirmishes that gets them the team fight, that gets them the win.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think that's something that what's his name provides.
Kobbe can help.
Kobbe just doesn't help with that. Kobbe just doesn't have the ability to win the most lanes. He just doesn't do that. I think that CS differential, it does work, but that's just him dominating the bot teams. But the bottom teams. But
this the thing is that he's not wrong though. Doublelift kind of does contradict what they're doing.
In what?
If they're playing this stable top to mid side game plan, Doublelift calls his jungler over. Like he did it in TL all the time. He calls for jungle help. That's gonna happen.
I mean, he doesn't. I don't know if you know. Dardoch ganks bot lane every single game. Dardoch did gank every single game.
He had very low jungle proximity, but he doesn't do much for the bot lane, though.
He doesn't have to do much. Like, again, I think Dardoch, most lanes, especially with Bifrost, wins most lanes just in terms of just picks.
Yeah, like, Kobbe is super similar to Sneaky. So how does that help? Yeah, see, I know...
Sneaky would be completely garbage on this team, even in his prime. I think
Sneaky on TSM, holy crap.
Slow-paced ADCs just don't work for this team because they need to transition into mid-game team fights, and Sneaky can't do that.
I wanted to see him on Kiana, Lee Sin, Nid, Elise, and dude, he won a game super decisively on Elise. The game 4, he won super decisively on that.
What TSM does not understand is that jungle gets ahead with help from laners, and then jungles can help the lanes. They just think that jungles should be a dog and come 24/7. Dardoch was always behind on XP. Dardoch was, well, again, I mean, I think no matter what happens, with the playstyle that he plays, he's always going to be behind in XP. Like, he's just hyper-aggressive early game ganking junglers are never going to catch up in XP because catch-up XP doesn't exist. And if you miss the early game, even if you farm throughout the rest of the game, you can't catch back up inside of that. Like, you sacrifice your ability to be a player in the early when you play early game junglers for your team. And that's just how early game junglers work in this meta right now. Both play weak side bot lanes insanely well. I mean...
Well, what? Okay, Henry, let me ask you. What is your definition of playing bot side insanely well? Because everybody says that, but they don't really give because everybody plays so differently. I just want to know, what is your definition of playing bot side weak?
Perfect sense what he's saying. He's saying that Kobbe can play the weak side without getting the picks and the jungle ganks for himself, and I understand that. That's what he's saying. And I get that. I think that might work out to an extent, but at the same time, like, Doublelift, you don't need, like, the only picks that define a lane in the bot lane are the ADs, are the support picks. Support picks define how the laning phase is going to go. The only ADCs that can genuinely control the lane themselves are like Draven Caitlyn, and maybe Lucian sometimes. But for the
most part, really
supports are the definite. I play this based on I pick this character and I'm going to win the lane, or I'm going to lose the lane, or I'm going to play passive in the lane. That's just what it is. I don't think picks are going to be a definite big problem with this because picks are just not as impactful in comparison. Like you can pick good ADCs who's going to be better in teamfights, but it's ADCs for the most part are not going to define the laning phase. It's just not what happens.
That's not the way. That's not how
they don't provide the CC unless you're Aphelios, and it's just for no reason. He does everything.
He has 200 years of experience.
Like just no reason for it. I don't think he should have as much utility as he does. But for the most part, I think that bringing in ADC is not going to require different things besides maybe jungle proximity, and that's really the only thing I'm wondering how they're going to play that and resource allocation. But it's not like Dardoch doesn't gank for bot. I think that maybe he transitions to more bot gank spot, but what happens to Stixxay? I mean, he's just complete garbage. Like, he just went from one of the best ADCs to one of the worst ADCs.
That's what I keep telling people, is that some people just play good for one meta. Like, that
wasn't a meta. He actually played well in the next season and a half, maybe to 2 seasons. I just think those were completely different metas, and he succeeded. Sometimes people just get worse, and I think that's what happened.
I don't think it's that. I think people like to overrate people because they play good on one meta. He would on one patch.
It wasn't just one
patch after that.
It was 2 seasons after that. I think he played well. I think that he started. I mean, I think that the season and a half to 2 seasons after that, it was completely different metas.
That's what I said. That's what I mean.
He played well. Changing the title.
Oh, hold on. I mean, one second, guys. TSM Doublelift returns, and then we'll do the LCS playoffs.
Why you don't change the title for stuff?
Well, because we talked about we'll go with this one.
You're driving me insane.
We'll C9.
I don't want to smell your armpits. Get them off of me.
Because he wanted to talk about this one actually anyway. Because we're in the car and we were talking about this anyway.
I mean, it's all relevant. I think the only team that can take down, like, if you want to change it to Cloud9, who's going to dominate, I think the only team that can dominate is going to be TSM. Is the only chance that NA has of not seeing Cloud9 win again.
But
there's no players that can match up with all of the bot lane is going to win regardless. I think this is the best bot lane that NA's ever produced.
He's going to say best since Piglet Next Special.
No, I'm not. I'm going to say this is the best bot lane they've ever produced. Is Biofrost overrated
or underrated?
I think Biofrost played pretty well for the most part throughout this entire season.
If you were to rank him right now, where are you going to put him?
I just think that, he's below Vulcan, he's below Ignar, and I think he goes in that 3rd place spot right there. I think I think he's probably that 3rd place spot.
But after that, you got Stunned.
And then I think Ignar honestly is worse than Biofrost on a majority of characters, but Ignar has when he's on Thresh or Blitzcrank, he's insanely good. And his Rakan is always good. I think that's just, in general, I think Rakan, Ignar is sometimes a better, I think Biofrost is better on most characters, but Ignar is extremely, world class on 2 to 3 characters.
Guys, you can't watch what we're watching right now, but eventually we'll do it. This man lost his mind when he sucked on Aurelia with Broken Blade.
Don't bring this up again. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
What side does G2 or SKT play even towards? TSM should just let Dardoch go to which lane he thinks. Again, that's the uniqueness about G2 and SKT. They have the ability with so many star players on their team to be able to transition to either side. You can't gank for Kabe as much because his lead is not going to transition into a dominant mid game because he doesn't know how to transition into anything but team fights. Skirmishes are just not his forte, and that's why you can't have him doing it. That's the reality of it, what it is. It's just the difference in players. It's what makes TSM have this playstyle in some ways, and it's not only that, and forcing Dardoch onto these picks also transitions their playstyle into, even though he's a hyper-aggressive jungler, it transitions them into poor mid-game because of the picks, because he's always ganking, which means he doesn't have the DPS himself to say that he... with the amount of ganks he has, he doesn't have the XP.
Even just this game. This game, it didn't make any sense why he got ganked right here.
They can't see this. Why do you keep saying this?
No. In TSM FlyQuest series, game 3, 7 minutes in, Broken Blade gets ganked. Solo is walking like he is planning for him to get ganked.
Well, I'm just saying,
and then he dies.
Game 1, when they had a gigantic lead, Broken Blade overextended in the bot lane 2 times in a row with his massive XP, his massive lead, and it just got killed, so they weren't able to push mid at that point. He played poorly in that series. Broken Blade was the worst performing member in the entire series.
This man was he's gonna put Solo into the dirt.
He should have. That's how he played the rest of the season. able to affect the game by deferring to mid jungle and by essentially playing utility ADC. Like, you could never tell Doublelift or IDK Piglet not to play aggressively, demand all resources, for how to sneaky. No, I agree with that. I think that that's one thing I think that might be a problem, but at the same time, I think that like, again, look at IG in 2017, was it 2018? I think that they never actually their mid, their bot, and their ADC always played hyper aggressive. Their picks were always centralized around strong side picks, regardless of what they played. They never played support of anything. Their only supportive player was the support, and even their jungler was hyper aggressive. Like, they never. You can make it work in this meta the way it works. You can always pick the characters you need, and you don't always have to get, like, if your players are good enough. I think that, like, what's his name? Jackie Love was always able to play weak side. Jackie Love was always able to play weak side because he was always winning lanes, and the small amount of ganks he got were able to transition well. Like, that's the thing.
I don't even think that's weak side. I think people are confusing the two.
Well, no, it's weak side.
It's weak side, but he's winning the lane.
No, it's weak side, but he's winning regardless. That's what I think they're trying to do with Doublelift, and I think that's the best idea they have. So with this playstyle they have, that's their best chance of winning the NA.
I was talking about Doublelift iteration of TSM. I completely understand why they would camp top with Kabe on the team. I mean, everybody expected that, though. Like, you knew that coming in, that Dark really is not going to game for Kabe, because people know that Kabe is not that early game aggressive, dominant ADC like Doublelift is.
I just think the reality is they're gonna this TSM is going to be just the disgustingly broken version of just the worst version of what IG was in 2018. That's what they're attempting to do with picking all, like, because Jackie Love literally is a hyper carry. He's extremely good, and he's resource hungry. And they had that with Rookie, and they're gonna have to hope that Bjergsen can play, like, a little bit less resource hungry, which that's the big difference for me. I think Bjergsen can do that. Is Balong's still on IG? They replaced him with a better support, but they replaced.
That's weird though. They got a better support but a worse ADC.
That's the problem. Like, if they just done that earlier, they would have won World last season. Like, I think with a better support, they could have done it because they would have had a lot better, like Southwind and Puff are pretty solid too. I still think they're world class.
It's weird that
they're on that level.
They came from Vici Gaming of all places. Holy crap!
Vici Gaming is pretty solid right now, dude.
They have Coma.
Well, they turned it around the end of the season. They were just out drafting people and all that stuff. It was just too late.
Whew. But this is the thing I'm gonna say to people right now: is Doublelift coming here, is it overrated or underrated?
I think. I mean, again, they're not gonna do much with Kabe on this team. I think that their attempt at what they're gonna do with how Kabe was playing, it was a good choice. I think you keep Kabe because I think Kabe's still in the best case scenario. I think that you could play Kabe is not going to be as good as what's his name, Doublelift, in the best case scenario where they play like an IG Lite from 2018 with all the hyper carries and all this stuff. But like,
holy moly,
Kabe,
I just saw that backwards.
if Doublelift doesn't work out, I still think they have a solid team. They just need to shore up their mid game. Like, it's not even though I think that Doublelift would make their mid game better, it all comes down to shot calling, and I think that not only does he bring a better differential CS wise and goal difference in bot lane with himself just laning better, he also brings a better, like, a more compact shot calling with him because he's better at it than, like, it seems like Kabe just doesn't seem to be.
I think this might be just as, I don't know. This seems really good in theory, but I think this might just be.
It's just theorizing. That's all you can do. Yeah. You can't do anything besides theorize.
If you guys don't know, I have my own solo TSM video coming out very, very soon. But that's where I'm kind of just gonna make my decision about it, because right now I'm kind of in the middle. They do have insane potential. Broken Blade top 3, Dark something, Bjergsen either top 3, Doublelift on his best days is the best. Bifrost on his best days is top 3. His
best days are not the best. He's not better than Sven.
I mean, we haven't seen his best day in a while.
I've seen their best days in comparison, and Sven.
This man just likes Sven more.
Sven is a better ADC than Doublelift. It's just what it is. Sven was world class, one of the best Callistas in the world in his prime. Like, there's no comparing. Like, Sven was better than Doublelift.
But at least you have a top 2 ADC.
You have a top 2 ADC. I think he's the second best ADC in the league.
And then you have Bifrost, who's insanely strong too. So, like, they have a really strong team on paper. But this is the thing people always expect from TSM, is they play like that. They don't even play like that. Like, people want something from them, and they never play the way people anticipate they think they should be playing. Like, is Bjergsen really that dominant, flashy, blow you out of the water mid laner? Not really. Some games, yeah. Some games. Is Broken Blade really like that top laner who just puts people into the dirt? Some games, maybe. That's what they are, though. People have this idea of them, but they never play to that idea.
They play fine on specific day. I think the big problem is with their play style comes a lot of inconsistencies because they're not as reliant on macro. That's what it is.
We're not even thinking about synergy. Do these people have synergy?
You can't think about that. You don't know it, so you just take into consideration they have synergy. When you want to theorize, you always say they have synergy.
I think they could be second place with this roster.
I think they would be first place if it works out. I think that early game, obviously, they beat Cloud9 every single time in the early game. The big difference between the two is the fact that they don't know how to transition in the mid game. And Cloud9 consistently comes back in the deficits between TSM because they know how to show. They know how to force skirmishes. They know all these things. And TSM is just a mindless, aggressive, mechanical tool. Like, if they can make some sort of shot calling happen on this thing, I think they could make it work. I mean, I think this team could work. Can you... Thank you?
I don't know
so funny.
Who that guy is.
Oh, I don't know who that guy is either.
Yeah.
So funny.
Every time I talk to this guy, he's just the big old no fun.
Random question. Do you think guys think Ruler is top 5? I think top 5 all time? I mean, I think that Wei Zhao...
He'll probably have to win if he wins this Saturday, then you can throw him in that conversation.
I think that... it's really dependent on... Do you give a lot of credit to Wei Zhao because he defined what the ADC role is? He he showed the how it worked and all that stuff, and he was a top ADC in his time? Or do you say who is the best in their prime and all that stuff? Because I think Wei Zhao doesn't hold up to today's standards as well. But I think that you have to give him some sort of credit because he literally is the reason...
ADCs play the way they do.
Play the way they do. The reason the metas and all these things exist. Like, I mean, I think that if I have to pick ADCs, I think Uzi still is number 1. Uzi is 1 to 2, depending on your interpretation of Wei Zhao. I think that from there it transitions. I think that Bergson is most overrated. You're so funny. I'm glad you're typing that in the middle of this.
How do you know that?
It's all like... I think that if I had to pick people, does SKT beat Gen.G? I think it's
I'm going to make a prediction about that soon, too.
Well, did you make one right now?
I think Gen.G could... It's hard to say.
It's not could. This is who do you think is going to win. You have to base it on their strengths. And I think
Gen.G has the better drafting, but I think SKT have the better
I think that SKT's drafting has drastically increased this year.
I don't know. It's really even when you break it down. All right, let's go lane by lane, then Connor to Rascal. All right, let's go to junglers.
I think Connor smashes that lane. I think
junglers is Clid versus Cuz.
I think Clid's probably the better one. I think that
BDD versus Faker.
I think Faker probably wins that. Again, Teddy versus Ruler, that's a really big toss.
That's pretty even, actually. That is insanely even, but they're actually really strong, too.
Yeah, again.
Effort versus what's that guy's name? Leanne?
Yeah, Leanne.
Yeah.
I think that again, it's really hypotheticals. I think it doesn't. You don't just match up players. That's not also.
I think Gen.G's drafting is better, but I think SKT's players are
SKT
stronger.
might have a better draft.
Yeah, I think Gen.G will win.
I think it's going to be a 3-1 in SKT's favor.
I'm going to say 3-0 Gen.G.
I'm
just trolling.
Yeah,
that's not true.
That's just dumb.
I think Gen.G will win 3-2.
I think that SKT looks substantially better right now. They looked really good in that series against Dragon X, and I think Dragon X was probably the most on fire team at the end of the season. If we look at it, they ended the season on like a 10-game win streak, and
they did have a week of schedule, like the weakest schedule.
It was 10 games. That's 10 games. They play everybody in that amount of time.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying the reality is like 9 to 10 games. I think Dragon X was the best chance to beat SKT at this point because SKT is still faster tempoed than Gen.G. I think Gen.G in general have worse team fighting than them because they're just not as I don't think that Ruler. I don't know.
They have the pieces to
win. think Teddy is still a better ADC than Ruler. I think Ruler just gets more resources than Teddy does.
I think Gen.G have the pieces to win.
I think it might be a 3-1 SKT.
Yeah, this is Gen.G 3-1 in my opinion. Gen.G 3-2.
They've looked worse throughout the entirety of the end of the season. I just don't see how
they've lost to SKT. I'm not saying that
they're even just. I don't think Eld want to scrim right now. Also, what will C9 do during the break? There is no way they can boot camp in Korea or China right now, and NXOQ is garbage to practice. IDK if they even practice flex Q. I mean, I don't know about destroy.
They play their academy team.
I mean, that's a good choice. I mean, they have the best academy team.
That's a bonus too. Having that is good.
I think that it all comes down to I don't know. I don't know how
Ryan, right? What a bunch of pussies! Don't scrim the best team. Oh,
I told you what it was.
What a way to get worse.
I told you the reason as to why they didn't do it.
I know why, but
it makes perfect sense. Like
they want to demoralize. I know they don't want to demoralize themselves.
If you're not gaining anything from it, the enemy's the only one gaining something from your scrimmages. It's dumb to scrimmage when you can't beat.
That's like you and Smash, me and you never playing Jason because we're scared of losing. That is not going to make us better.
That's not what it is. It's not scared of losing. It's first of all, you don't like if I didn't understand like if you don't gain something from playing Jason, you shouldn't play him at all. Like you're not going to get like again. First of all, it's for fun. We're not putting anything. They're playing.
I'm saying in theory for competitive.
It's competition. Not. There's the theorizing is if you can't gain something, if your coaching staff can't understand it, you're going to have to rely on gimmicks to be able to beat them, and you playing them at scrimmages is only going to demoralize them and get rid of your pool of amount of things.
Then how does your better team get better then?
They don't get better. You don't get better if your coaching staff can't make you understand what they're doing better than you.
I think that's just because a lot of teams are just substantially worse.
This is what it is. Like they should not be scrimmaging him if they can't understand what's
God, I love that.
what C9 is doing better.
BDD. Okay, so I think Genji will lose game 1 because Genji notoriously lose game 1 because they're trying to draft to figure out their opponents. So I'll give you that game 1, but I think Genji have a better game sense of how to play around the map.
I disagree with that completely. I think their game sense is substantial.
I think their skirmishes are a little bit better.
Their skirmishes are not better.
Their objective control is better.
Maybe that. I think I'll give you that. Their skirmishes are substantially worse than than SKT's.
They put too many resources into Ruler, so you kind of know where Clit is gonna go.
I just think it's their game plan is obvious preemptively in the game based off their draft because they usually draft around bot side, and if they don't draft around bot side, you know which side they're going to gank. Like they're very telegraphed inside of the drafting phase. I think that's not only just that, they're also substantial. Like I think their players themselves are not as good as SKTs right now. I think with Kana playing the way he is, there's no way.
I forgot the player who's on the support.
I'm saying if Kana plays the way he did.
Oh, it's Life. Sorry guys, I said Lan. Sorry, it's Life.
I thought you said.
If they play Life in this series, if they play Life against SKT, SKT probably win. Because life is garbage.
Who else are they going to play, dude?
Who's that other guy they had? Keelan.
Keelan's not...
is it Keelan his name?
They don't play as well with Keelan, dude.
That's the thing, is that life is bad.
The reality is, with the top lane difference, if he plays as well as he did, I think there's absolutely no way they take 2 games off them. I think SKT just straight up 3-1s.
They would have to give Rascal a matchup where he doesn't feed.
I'm just saying, the flexibility... The reason that I thought Dragon X might be able to do it is because they're the most flexible team in the region. Like, with the ability for them to play mages, I thought it might be possible for them to be able to beat SKT, because SKT, I haven't really been impressed with any times that, what's his name, has been on mages.
You guys might say, I know I'm biased towards Genji, because, I want Ruler to win.
Yes, but he's just not as good.
I don't know if he's not as good as Teddy. I think
I think he's really close, but at the very least, I think it's mostly dependent on the fact that he gets as much resources.
Look at the support. Teddy has effort, and Ruler has life.
I'm basing it off their play themselves. Teddy is still getting more resources.
Yeah.
Less resources. I think Ruler has been a top 2 to top 3 ADC
in the world
years.
Yeah.
Not world. He's not better. I think China has the top 3 ADCs, maybe. Maybe besides Deft. Deft is the best ADC. Deft and Teddy are the top 2. I think Ruler is number 3. I think that's why I can't put...
I think if Clid plays the way he did on SKT, I think that they can win. Because remember, he's played against T1 before. He knows how to beat them in a best of 5.
It's not just based off all of these things.
A little bit of insight from Mation is good.
We've seen how they played against each other in the regular season. Not only that, we see their difference in play style. I think the reality is SKT just matches so well against Genji. T1 can get lay hands as a sub for effort since he's close with Teddy. If they do that, it's literally just over Korea. I think that
if Lance comes to
Clid,
T1,
Clid is the difference maker in this series. I think
Clid will be the difference because he's not been playing too well in the recent games.
Fine in the last season. I think
you don't need Fine to win the championship.
They don't need Fine in the top lane. Then they don't need Fine everywhere. They have Fine everywhere.
I'm just saying, Clid moves your team toward a win. Cuz doesn't really do that.
The difference between he does Fine. He's supplementary and he does gank a lot. Clid is just world class, and Cuz is also world class, but not to that extent.
I think that if Genji play the way they did in the season, the reason why they lost to T1 in the season is because they just got outplayed in every single game. That's just what it was.
They just have, they don't match up well against T1. That's what it is.
I think it's just, what does Russ Garen call it? It's literally one of those stylistic differences. They legitimately have a stylistic difference to T1.
So you think the stylistic difference is there, but you also think that T1's going to lose?
The issue is, I think Genji's drafting is better.
It's not better. They literally just... SKT has the single best drafting phase in Korea, and it's still not that good. But, it's just... the reality is, they outdrafted Dragon X in that entire series, and that's why they won. I mean, Dragon X kind of outdrafted themselves half the time.
I mean, they're picking fucking LeBlanc and Trundle together. Their brains are blown.
It's not that problem. Like, the problem is that they consistently drafted peel-back comps with mage ADCs that don't scale past mid-game, and they lost the early game because they had worse players. That's just why they lost. It's just, again, a big problem what TSM has. I think that is something that I see in Korea right now. They're not transitioning well into this meta for the past 2 seasons. For the past 3 seasons now, actually. They just don't know what's going on.
Man, I mean, I hope Gen.G can win. I mean, they have the ability to beat them. I think they always get inside their own head when they play T1. It's that thing that Fnatic does when they play against G2. They get inside their own head. They don't think they're good enough. If they can play the objective game like they've been doing, if they can draft like they've been doing, I think they have a chance. Like,
I'm not saying they don't have a chance.
They have strong enough players to do it. It's just that T1 have the more consistent, stronger players.
It's not just consistent, stronger players. I think it's just the consistency on SKT is there. I agree with that. It's just the fact is they know how to, like, they have more things to play around than Gen.G does. Gen.G has one side of the map. It's like RNG in the previous season when they only had one side of the map to play around.
All right, so which draft is better in this?
Are you asking me what's better, a draft?
Yeah. So this was the last time they matched up. They had a really, really close game.
I mean, it's essentially what happens is they have 3 frontliners, and like they have 2 frontliners and then third Suedo frontliner with Rek'Sai. First of all, they can't see this, so I don't know how to.
Okay, so Gen.G's draft is for game 1. This was the last time they played around. Was Orin, Rek'Sai, Zillion, Aphelios, Braum, T1 is Akali's, Olaf, Azir, Kalista, Targ bot lane.
I think the big thing about it is, first of all, Rek'Sai becomes completely useless in this specific comp. Not only is there no one for him to dive on because there's so many ways to get him off, there's also Tarek ulti. So Reckless is worthless now. I'm not Reckless. Rek'Sai is worthless now.
Yeah.
Zillion is pretty much only good into Tarek if they're engaging on you. And I don't think that's what SKT's team comp... Well, SKT's team comp does actually do that. So I think that Zillion was a good pickup here. I think that the thing about it is, I think that Orange just works in every team comp. It's hard to say anything about that, but I think Kalista, Tarek, I think it all dependent. Is Tarzan still good? I think he's played poorly this season. Tarzan has not been that
This is one of those bad splits that everybody's going through.
Yeah, I still think he's a world-class jungler. I just don't think this has been his bad. Well, first of all, he doesn't have the laners to go along with him. Tarzan is not the king of the jungle now. I don't know if that was a play on words with like, the actual Tarzan or not, but he's not been very good this season in comparison to his previous ones.
I'll give you guys like 10 more minutes because I gotta get up for work early actually.
Oh wow, I didn't even know.
Yeah, I had to get up. I had to be at work at like 6:30, but I'll be off early tomorrow. Tomorrow we could maybe stream. No. I don't know.
Keenan's birthday's tomorrow.
Oh, it's Thursday. I forgot. We'll probably stream like Friday or something like that.
Keenan's birthday, and we're gonna have a party there.
Yeah, my girlfriend coming over. Your girlfriend. Is your girl?
I don't.
Oh wait.
You got a girlfriend, huh?
My boy. Yeah. I mean, I really want Ruler to win though, and I want Klid to win so he could get his revenge. I mean,
I'd like that to happen. I just don't see a world where Gen.G beats them right now because SKT, based off the unless they just don't play to that standard again, which is possible. I mean, it's just not like
Gen.G. They need to get out of their own heads and realize SKT are not immortal and they can beat them. Because remember, Dragon X basically played so bad, T1 just, I think, looked better by comparison. No.
I mean, they just genuinely got outplayed. Like, it was literally just laning dominance that SKT won with. Just, that's what it is. They, with the amount of engage that SKT's comp has, Zillion only doesn't really have a functional way to throw out his bombs. I mean, he can throw some on, he can't really stop the Olaf. He can't get on Akali because she's too mobile. He can't stop the Azir because he's too far in the back. Like,
they had the Zillion pick early on because if you have
Zillion was good
to speed it up.
Yeah, but it's terrible into Rex is just useless into SKT's comp.
This was a game. Yeah, this was a really, really close game. It's just, I don't know. I think Gen.G could do it. The issue is T1 are just insanely strong at best of 5s. That's the thing.
So immediately when we start. You switch the thing to C9 dominates next split. You start talking about LCK, like all these things.
We're not even all over the place. That's literally just me. We weren't even talking about the LCS though. Really.
I mean, SKT literally looks insanely strong based off their last series. I think they could beat anybody with this.
I think that's the way Gen.G beats them is in 5 games. I don't think they 3-1 them. I think that's not gonna happen personally.
But all around, if we have the rank the regions right now,
I
think LEC has a better understanding than LCK does, but they don't have as good as players, like even close. I think the LPL and LCK players blow everybody else out of the water right now. It's the big thing. But LEC's like understanding of the meta is better than LCK's from what I can see right now.
Oh man, Damien, I always stay clean.
I'm good. Make sure you always wash your hand and stay clean. I
put my hands in my pants and then sniff.
If you just remember, if you wash your hands, it rubs off the testosterone, so you should never do that. That's what real men do. Kind of just spit on them sometimes to get the dirt off.
This man, I was like, they got WAD'd because they don't want to get relegated. This man, why did they get WAD'd? What am I doing?
Okay, calm down.
It's like they got WAD'd. It's like they got him because they want to not be relegated.
I don't think he is an off. I just don't think he's an upgrade from their previous support. Is what I said.
You only need him for like 2 series.
Yes, but they only bring him in if he's an upgrade, which I don't think he is.
Right. But at that moment, you're not thinking about that.
You are thinking about an upgrade. You're bringing him in because you need an upgrade.
They
are literally thinking about that. You frustrate me so much.
On.
No. You already made this point a million times, and it's never counteracted what I've said.
What if they're not thinking about an upgrade?
They're thinking about an upgrade, which is why they're bringing him in.
What about communication?
They all speak Korean.
No. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, what if their previous support just doesn't provide what Wadid will provide?
What does Wadid provide? He was literally never a shot caller. He was always... One of the biggest criticisms he had was he wasn't vocal enough.
He wasn't vocal, and he was garbage.
Yes, like, what does Wadid provide? Why bring him in?
He's been in Korea. He's been in the hyperbolic time chamber improving.
If she comes back and is world class, you know what? I will take back what I said, and I will say...
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's going to be bad after this. They only need him for this one series.
I just don't see a reason you bring him in. And I also, like...
If we're having a party, we'll be... I don't know if we'll be drinking. That's them.
I'm definitely going to a little bit at the very least, but for the most part, I don't think anybody else is because it never happens.
I have to work the previous day.
So what happens is I get drunk and everybody else just sits there and laughs at me the entire time because no one else does it at all.
Our other friend Jason kind of does sometimes.
No, he just falls asleep every time he does, dude. He's a baby.
What do you mean?
No one else does it, dude. Hello?
I don't do it because that's not my thing personally, but you guys have been pretty great tonight. A lot of questions came through, a lot of, interaction.
I think the big thing about it, again, I think there was a lot of, like, my take on TSM was a lot different than everybody else. Apparently, no one had the same opinion I did of Dardoch, or of pretty much TSM in general. I was just surprised about that.
I like having different opinions.
I definitely do agree. I just didn't think that. I thought everybody was of the same
But you said
opinion.
Dardoch was the best player. I was like, but Beerson literally made them win those first games they did.
He only won one of the games to them. Dardoch actually, with this hyper-aggressive early game, won the second game they won.
Dardoch decisively won a combination of 2 games between both series, between Rek'Sai game and the Elise game he had.
What? I mean, I think that's all underplaying his early game relevance. Like, he was so relevant in the early games, it's hard for me to say that he wasn't the best player. I just, like...
You're saying he doesn't get enough credit that he deserves.
I think that he's the best player. He was the best player in that series. That's what I'm saying. I think that the games they lost, he was the best player by far.
Oh, Genji. Drafting these shit late game compositions. I think this is how they're going to lose. Drafting shit like this. You guys can't see this? Genji, in the last series against SKT, drafted Orin, Rek'Sai, with Cassiopeia, Senna, Tahm Kench. Alright, you lost. GG, go next.
I mean, they didn't lose based off drafting phase like that. I think that, again...
That was just horrible.
I don't think it's that bad. It's not... I mean, Senna's not even a... Like, Senna's fine in the early game.
Senna scales.
She does scale, but she's fine in early. She provides utility instantly. She provides... If Fnatic or G2 didn't throw the World Finals, then LEC would be number 1. They literally they just weren't as good.
No, man, they didn't throw. People don't watch the LPL. The LPL teams were always stronger than them. It's just that if you don't watch them, you don't have the base general idea of how strong they are.
I will say, based off...
It's not an upset if they're better.
Well, no, he's saying Fnatic in the previous season, when they went to Worlds against IG, I think that they exposed one of the weaknesses that I think IG had that no one else did, which was the fact that they weren't able to do anything besides, like, essentially play a 1-3-1 comp. That was what their biggest thing was, and they transitioned their 1-3-1 into team fights later on. And even with most teams didn't understand it, is even though you can't... Because... Like, even with that in the G2 versus, like, the Fnatic versus IG series, they still, like, Cap still got completely clapped by Rookie in the series. But what they understood during the group phase, you gotta... Yeah, see you guys later.
We should be streaming on we'll Sunday after...
soon.
Yeah, because I do want to stream after Genji and T1. I do want to talk about that, because I'm saying Genji to win 3-2.
That's because
I want Ruler to win really bad. He's biased towards Piglet. He is biased for Piglet, and I'm biased
Piglet's not on a team!
He's biased towards Piglet, and I'm biased towards Ruler.
I hate you so much.
I want my boy Ruler to win. He had to deal with Crown running it down for 2 years straight. He deserves his championship. And I also want Klit to win because he won the 2 previous on SKT, and then he can show SKT that they made the wrong choice in letting him go.
He left. He didn't want to be there.
I know. He said he was younger. He said they were all older than him. But yeah, I do want Klit and Ruler to win. BDD's been always chasing a title ever since.
Way better than the LCC. No, mechanically, yes. I think that LPL and LCK will always have better players than both the Western regions. LEC,
but they're all gonna be outliers sometimes.
No, I mean I genuinely think that pretty much every season, even the best players like Caps was not like a top 3 mid laner in LCK. He was not a top 3 mid laner in LEC. I mean LPL. Like, and that's like the best of the best that the LEC provides, and that's the best region in the West.
Don't let these analysts tell you that Caps is the best mid laner in the world.
I just think that the reality is that even if they are the best players in our I think that it comes down to this is so meta-focalized, and SKT has such a not SKT, Korea in general has such a lack of understanding that I do think that LEC just G2 in general will actually beat out pretty much all of the Korean teams as it stands right now. But at the same time, it's not just based off that. I mean, I think that if Korea can get a better understanding of the meta right now, I think they will end up being better. Like, even LEC, pretty much the only team that, again, they put the best players of, what's it called?
I still don't think, even with the bad LCK drafting, that LEC is that much better than the LCK. I still don't believe that.
I mean, I honestly enjoy watching LEC better than LCK right now, because even though they have a more compact, more mechanically gifted team fighting, it's so slow paced that it's just not enjoyable to watch sometimes. It's not meticulous. It's not meticulous anymore.
They don't conform to the meta. They're slow to adapt.
Definitely trying to conform to the meta. Will you guys stream on the LCK finals? I've never thought about that.
You're talking about co-streaming. Oh, that's a nice idea.
I mean,
I don't think YouTube will. It won't be allowed on YouTube.
I think
we'd have to do it through Twitch.
Why would it be not allowed on YouTube?
Because they play copyrighted music. During the ceremonies.
They won't stop the stream. They just won't let you get
No. They play music during.
What I'm saying is they won't stop the stream for that, will they? I don't think they do.
They would actually.
Have you ever been stopped?
Yeah, because
have you ever seen it stopped?
Yeah, because one time, one of the guys I was streaming with, he played one of his favorite songs during a stream. That they just stopped it. The whole stream went black. You would have to do it on Twitch. That's why Dominate doesn't do it on YouTube. He does it on Twitch.
Well, I mean, again, I think
during Champ Select you have copyrighted music.
Right, here's about this. I will set up. If you want to see that, just essentially just let me know, let me know, because I'm gonna have to be the one that sets it up. Let me know in the comment section, and I will set up a Twitch channel. I'll link it.
We have one for this, don't we?
What's up?
We have one for this, don't we?
I think we do. I'll just set one up. I'll link it inside of the description of
something. I'll just link it in all the videos.
If you guys go in the Discord, we'll keep you up to date on it. I just don't have any other way to contact you unless he makes a Twitter or something for the.
You can if you guys want to, you can either talk about it on Discord. Because wait, when's the game actually?
I don't know.
It's on Saturday, so it's gonna be on Friday for our time. It'll be at Friday, 1:00 in the morning.
So we'll do that. Just just figure a way to let us know, and if you want that, that's fine. If not, then we can more so just post. If no one says anything, we'll just do a post game
review like we always do.
Like we usually do. It's not a big deal, regardless. It's just whatever everybody.
But prefers. I remember we do have a Twitch channel for it, and
I did make one, and I set it up pretty much all around. But that one actually has commands. Pretty good.
Yeah, the reason why I started on YouTube for this because you guys are already here, so to eventually transition you guys into Twitch is more easier. If I already get your ideas here,
you can dual stream.
Yeah,
and I kept telling you that you can multi-stream. Mute the game.
Just mute the music when playing. I mean, that could work.
I mean, it's more so. I thought we'd get banned for actually playing. Do they let people co-stream on YouTube?
I mean,
does the LPL?
We could try it. The issue is if it doesn't work out, they just take you off. That's literally all will happen.
All right, I'll figure.
Because people have co-streamed the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship. I don't see it be that bad on here. Yeah, we'll just mute the music then because you have to mute it during Champ Select too because that music is created by them too. So when Champ Select is over, you just go straight to the game. But I mean that could work out. I wouldn't mind doing this. I mean. I'm off Friday 5:30, and I have Saturday and Sunday off. I can stay up literally all night.
I'm gonna be staying up pretty much all night on Thursday, so I'll probably have my sleep schedule. I'll go back to sleep right after we end.
Yeah, but yeah, our friend's birthday's tomorrow. He's gonna turn 26. So
Is he 26? I thought he was 25.
No, he graduated a year before me.
You're 25. Oh my god, you're old.
This man doesn't care about my age. He doesn't like me, guys.
That. Yeah, I forgot you were 25.
Yeah,
I thought you were 24 still. You didn't. You've always got my age wrong until
you're
just
24.
Right now you just got it wrong. Now you literally have it right.
25.
I'm 23.
I know. I'm just trolling.
Regardless, I think that's pretty much the end of it. If you have any suggestions or any comments, just leave them in the comment section or the Discord, and I will get to them because he doesn't know how to do any of the Twitch stuff. So, you got anything else to say before
Piglet sucks. 3-1 hashtag Genji win.
Well, I mean, you might not get to see him again because he's walking home and there's coyotes out. So.
Right when Ruler claps Teddy so hard in the bot lane, it'll make him go back to Jin Air.
All right.
In relegation.
See you guys later.
See you guys later. Bye.
Hugs and kisses.
We'll see you guys roughly Sunday after all this is over.
All right.
Hi there, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.